Good morning, Goose.
Well, howdy folks, and welcome back to Goose Unlimited. For the sake of time, I divided the lower receiver video into two, the first being the disassembly of the lower receivers, and then the second one being the assembly of the lower receiver that I'm using for the precision build. Please enjoy. We've got the lower receiver cleaned up. Now we are going to reassemble it. We're only going to do one for the time of the video's sake. This is receiver number 2, the one that we decided had the best fit between all the different upper receivers. Alright, so we ran into a minor issue yesterday and I had to stop, fixed it off camera, went to bed. Coming back to it today. When installing the bolt release lever, my original bolt release detent and spring got stuck inside the hole, and what had occurred was that the edge of the spring simply went over the side of the detent, causing it to be too large for the hole. Couldn't get it out with pliers, ended up having to drill it out. It was a little frustrating, but ultimately not a huge deal. So we come back to it now. The bolt release pin is still in place. We've got a new detent and spring. Drop it right in. Press it a little bit, make sure that it freely moves. Then we can go on to installing the bolt release. So a little trick I'm going to use this time that I didn't use last time is kind of like a slave pin. I'm just going to use that punch to hold it in place, and then I will punch in using the hammer. Once you've got the bolt catch in place, you can then start putting in other parts. I like to go to the mag release. Texture side up. If you can, with that side, hold it all the way in. Depress the spring with the button and turn it by hand as far as you can. Once you've got that lined up as far as it'll go, hold the button, rotate the lever. Ideally, you don't want that mag release button to be sticking out any further than the mag well. Next, we will move to the fire control group. And slide that in. Then with that angled down, we'll throw in the safety. So we had trouble whenever we removed it. I'm keeping a finger on the hammer just in case I happen to bump it. Put these in place. These just take a light tap. A little bit more than a light tap. I like to get them as flush as possible. Now on a standard trigger it'd be completely different because the springs hold those pins in. And a lot of times you can just slide them in and out. Once that trigger is installed, you're going to take your Allen wrench and you're going to tighten the retaining screws that are inside. And all you're doing is tighten it snug. That prevents the pins from walking out, prevents the trigger from moving up and down or sideways.
I just do it. No, I don't have a torque setting.
Now looking at the underside, we're going to do several things. We're going to put in the safety detent spring. We're going to install the rear takedown pin, rear takedown detent, rear takedown spring. Then we will put in the grip. I did modify this grip. Previously, the rear takedown spring was just pushing on the rubber and causing it to deform on the outside here. I took a small screw or small drill bit, just drilled it into the rubber so that the spring will have a place to sit to keep it from pushing out. So first, we're putting in the safety detent. And you can see it move up and down. We're actually going to cock the hammer. I'm going to put it into the safe position. Safety spring is the thicker of the two. Rear takedown pin. It's going to go in. On that side. You want to make sure that the groove is facing upwards towards the bottom of the receiver whenever you put that in. Takedown detent. Slap that in the hole. And then we're actually going to put the safety detent spring there and the takedown detent there. And check the grip, make sure that the grip screw is in there. And we're going to try to line everything up. Apply a little bit of pressure and then screw it down. And as you screw it down, you'll watch that gap close. And there's a torque setting for everything. And I just torque it down by hand. Now we're going to test the safety. Safety selector locks into each position. Does not fire. From there, we can install the buttstock parts. We have the stock tube or the buffer tube retainer spring. Put those together and then into the hole. Then you can take your buffer tube screw it in. Eventually you're going to get to where you're touching the buffer tube retainer. Back it out a little bit, push the retainer down, screw in the tube a little bit more. That's it for that. We have to install the front takedown pin with the detent and the spring. Spring goes in first. Then the detent. Alright, detent spring is already in place. Place the detent on top. I'm going to use my fingers. I'm going to press the detent down into the hole. Then I'm going to put pressure on the detent pin that I've put in there. Take the one I'm going to use to hold it in place. Maintaining pressure on the back side, I'm going to use the detent I'm going to use. And I'm going to push the detent into place with the pin. At this point I can take out my slave pin and then my front takedown pin. Works. Alright, to finish off the stock, you're going to take your stock. You've got that nipple there. It's going to go into the hole at the bottom of the receiver there. Slide it in, line it up. Then through the back end of the stock, you're going to take your stock retaining screw. You're going to put it in place. Once in place, there it goes. Just screw it in. Once that's screwed down, line up your butt pad. Grab your hex key. You can start tightening down the butt pad screws. Quick note about the Luth-AR stock. It is adjustable for comb height or cheek height, as well as length of pull. You just loosen this knob, adjust, tighten it down, loosen this knob, adjust in and out, tighten it down. It actually comes with the correct Allen key with it. I always forget it's there, so I pull out another one. Really good, economic alternative to the Magpul PRS stock. I like the way the PRS stocks look a little bit better than this, but it's a pretty good stock here. 2 spots for adding a quick detach point if you want. Now we've got the buffer spring and the buffer. There you go. That's the complete stock.
Well, there you have it, folks. That is the assembly of the precision lower receiver that we are going to use. In the next video, we will start working on the upper receivers. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Leave comments. I'll try to leave feedback as often as I can. And thanks again.
See you later, Goose.